Hi, Samantha. Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go ahead. Just jump right over there. All right, these are looking, I think they're looking fantastic. I don't think any of them is really complete. This one is definitely, but I think that the facial here, I mean, this is just absolutely stunning. I think that's beautiful work. I think one of my favorite things here is the fact that you've actually depicted some highlights just by using those little tiny areas of highlight. That's fantastic. Depicting some shadows and really done a tasteful job deciding where these shadows go. I think that's a nice shadow right there that adds a ton of volume right through the neck and really adds a nice dimension there. The hand looks great. Nice work. Really good job. Hair's a little underdeveloped here. I think the hair this is fantastic. I think if you can get these to this point, you're in. You're in. This is portfolio ready. I think right now this is underdeveloped. I'd like to see a little bit more further development in the hair area. And let me see. Oh, that's looking pretty good though. It's looking darn good. I think the hair is underdeveloped. This one, of course, isn't done. Hair here could just use a little bit further refinement, but you are so close to being done. But I think we're just not quite there yet. One of the things that I'm sure that you found this to be somewhat problematic is that once you start, and you've heard me say this before, but once you start doing this is going to be interesting to comment to you, because I know in your process you have worked on all four kind of simultaneously. I remember one of your posts, you had submitted partials of these. This one was well on its way, but these were just partials. So that to me is a really interesting technique that you're using. But my point that I'm going to make here is that one of the problems that we get when we reach when we get to this kind of a stage of completion, near stage of completion, is that you're confronted with skin tones, and especially for students that develop one illustration, then move on to the next, develop that to completion, move on to the next, develop that to completion. And I think that one of the important things that we find out in that particular workflow, as in contrast to yours where you worked on all four simultaneously, is that you're going to get to a point where you're going to go, okay, hey, here's my series, but there's a little inconsistency because my skin tones are just not very consistent. I think that's what we're seeing right now. We take out the images and just look at the stamps themselves. We can see, okay, this has got more kind of an orange, yellow, brown skin tone cast. This definitely has a yellow pinkish. This one I think it looks great. That's more like a yellow, and this one almost has another pink. So what I'm saying is that there's just not quite as consistent as it could be. That's going to be a tough part. To me, that's the toughest part of the assignment, is establishing consistency in the skin tones for the series itself. One other suggestion I would recommend is I think one of the things that really brings this assignment home is the depiction of specular highlights in the eyes. Specular highlights are reflections, light reflections. You can see them here, they're beautiful, right? You can see them here, but they're not quite as well established. Same thing here, and same thing here. We get some highlights in the pupil areas. Boy, that just adds just a real dimension of a humanist dimension. It really does. I think that is real, and plus it reinforces the focal point. And any illustration, any image that has a human in it, that's going to be the focal point right there. As humans, we go right to the eyes. Same thing with anything that has eyes. So if you have an image of a dog, let's say if it's a magazine ad, there's an image of a dog, we go right to the eyes. And and that you can count on. So you can count on the fact that your viewer is going to they're going to look at this area first, and they're going to spend most of their time in that area. It's just a natural phenomenon that we as human beings tend to do when we see images of other human beings. So we really want to exploit the knowledge there, and we want to develop the eyes as much as possible. And I think that development of those specular highlights is to a high degree going to determine the success of that particular portion of the facial characteristics. What you're going to need to do now is decipher, since these are They're rectangles, but they're almost a square format. So if we go ahead and take a look at the template itself, this is a rectangle. So I think what we're going to have to do is decide, where are we going to get from this to this? Right there, I'm going to hover over that green line that appears right there. That's the clipping mask. That's the shape that you're looking for, okay? So think about that, and think about transitioning from this to this, and of course, think about, you guessed it, typography. All right, so yeah, all right, these are fantastic. I really love watching. This is just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Yeah, listen, if you can get these, I'm just looking at this. I'm thinking that this has a lot of contrast associated. I think that might determine some of the successes because it's got a high degree of contrast, more so than we see here, here, and here. So maybe think of a way that you can increase the contrast associated with these three. Okay, what was I saying? I was saying that it is Wednesday. I'm sorry, today's Thursday, October 25th, and these are due Sunday. So you have a little bit of work to do, right? But if you are finding yourself getting a lot done and you want me to take another look, have at it, repost. I'll be glad to take another look. Okay, great job, Sam. Any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.